Welcome to Guy-Centric Living with Eric Harris. And today I'm going to share with you tips for tick prevention. The ticks have been really bad this year. I haven't seen ticks like this in a long time. They've been coming in full force and definitely had to up a lot of the protection. And I just wanted to share with you some of the things that I've been doing. I'm still in the woods all the time. My dog's in the woods all the time. And even though we've had some ticks on us, it really hasn't been an issue. And so I'm here to share what we do and how we deal with the situation and why we don't really freak out about it. Okay. So first off, one of the things I always say is that and I like to reiterate, is that when you get bit by a tick, okay, there's a bunch of different kinds of ticks. There's the black-legged deer ticks are the number one tick that will transmit Lyme disease and other co-infections like Babesia and Borrelia, the different stuff like that, okay? There's all sorts of other stuff out there now too. There's also like the Powassan virus and what's that other one? I forget what that. There's a bunch of different co-infections that you can have, right? But it doesn't matter, okay? There's still ways to treat it holistically and things that you can do, okay? I have had Lyme disease before. It was many, many years ago. And I can share a whole nother little topic about Lyme disease and Epstein-Barr virus and stuff that I've learned about that too at another time. But specifically speaking about, transmitting Lyme disease from ticks, you're mostly going to get it from black-legged deer ticks, okay? There's also wood ticks, and there's some other ticks that are coming up from the south as well. So there's a few different species of ticks, right? But usually it's going to be the black-legged deer ticks that have the red dot on the back that are going to transmit the Lyme disease and the co-infections, okay? But that being said, a tick has to be on you for hours, okay, to really transmit the disease. Sometimes they say 24 hours, right? And that's when they get embedded, and then you're really, it's getting bigger, and you're going to, it's going to be just really plump and kind of gross and kind of hard to get out, right? So you always want to try to take them out with tweezers, okay? Because that's the best way to try to get the whole head, okay? I recently had a tick bite right here a couple weeks ago. Wasn't a big deal. I got it off right away. It was so soon, I literally just pulled it off with my fingers. And it did irritate me a little bit, but what I did, which is a little trick I like to share, is a good thing to have is a suction cup, okay? So this is a travel suction cup kit for fire cupping, okay? Traditional Chinese medicine tool here, okay? And so what you do is when you do get that tick bite, if you have one of these, so this one has a nice little bulb on the bottom, so you can do it anywhere, but there's also cups that have a suction gun or a traditional fire cupping where you use a cotton swab doused in alcohol on a hemostat, light it on fire, and then you put that in the cup, and that fire creates the suction, okay? But this is much easier, okay? So what you do is you just say I had a tick bite right here on my chest, okay? I would literally just put this here, okay, where the tick was, and do the suction, okay? And let it sit there, all right? And what's amazing about this is it actually literally will draw out the toxins and the poison, and you can see it. All right, so you let it sit for about 10, 15 minutes. If it starts feeling too uncomfortable, you can take it off, no big deal. But very often, what you will see is oozing coming out, and that's all the toxins coming out and potential, Lyme or other co-infections. So this is a great tool to have in your tick first aid kit, okay? And I usually will also put on some essential oils. These are some of my favorite essential oils. I use Wisdom of the Earth, medicinal aromatherapy. So you have cedarwood, Virginia, really great for skin conditions. So it can be kind of soothing to that tick bite. Palmarosa is a great insect repellent, good for external infections, okay? You got trusty old lavender. It's good for all skin conditions, has some antiseptic properties as well, antibacterial properties, okay? Niuli, which is in the tea tree family. So again, having that antibacterial, antiseptic properties. And geranium. Geranium is one of those essential oils that the ticks hate. I've actually heard that if you put geranium on where a tick was, sometimes they'll like crawl out of your body because they don't like them, okay? So sometimes I'll put them on before if the tick is having an issue, but usually I don't have to do that. I can pull the tick off, put the essential oil on, and then do the fire cupping, okay? So I actually put these essential oils and a bunch of other essential oils in my bug away spray. Okay, I have 11 different essential oils here that are good for ticks, fleas, mosquitoes, flies, gnats, things of that nature. Okay, so I do spray this liberally before I go out in the woods, so that helps with prevention. That's a number one prevention tip there. Spray bug spray head to toe. Essential oils are great. You don't need to use DEET. The essential oils are very effective, okay? So the other thing that I recommend, so this is what my dog wears, okay? It's a little easier to show. This little hoodie here that is lined with permethrin, okay? And permethrin it's like this natural insect repellent, okay, that they line the clothing with, okay? I also have pants. I have pants, shirts, and a hat that's lined with permethrin. So that's what I wear. And then my dog wears her cute little hoodie here, okay, that's lined with that. So that's super effective to help prevent the ticks and any insects from biting you, okay? Another thing that I do is I make an herbal tincture, okay? So I call this my tick prevention tonic. My dog takes this in her food every day. Okay, so I do a full dropper full twice a day. So breakfast and dinner that she gets a full dropper full of this, okay? This, again, is a bunch of different herbs that are incredible for actually treating Lyme disease and the co-infections, but also can help with prevention, all right? So there's like 12 different herbs in here. Some of them I got from Stephen Harrod Buhner's book, Healing Lyme, okay? So cat's claw, andrographis herb, Japanese knotweed root, things like that are proven. There's all these studies out there to be super effective in the treatment of Lyme disease and its co-infections. I also threw in some medicinal mushrooms, some reishi mushrooms, turkey tail, and some other beneficial antiviral, antibacterial herbs, things of that nature, okay? So I give it to my dog every day. Humans can also take it too, okay? And for the same reason, so to help with prevention, but also you can use it if you feel like you do have a co-infection, all right? It can help to treat it, all right? This one is probably my least best tasting tincture, but you can add a little bit of a sweetener in there like maple syrup or honey, or just kind of shoot it back. I mean, it's not that bad, but some of these herbs are very strong because they're antiviral, antibacterial, and a lot of antiviral, antibacterial herbs are kind of cold, acrid, bitter, okay? So that's something that works really well, the tick prevention tonic, using the essential oils, the bug spray, using the permethrin lined clothing, okay? So, yeah, and the other thing that I like to do with my dog, so I'm kind of doing a dual thing, talking about things that can help with humans, things that can help with pets, okay? So she's got the permethrin lined clothing. I give her the tick prevention tonic. I also add this daily herbal internal powder from Earth Animal, okay? It's the name of the company. And it's actually really awesome ingredients, like that are like good for us, you know, dogs and us too. I mean, it's got alfalfa, garlic, spirulina, kelp, papaya, neem, stinging nettles, and hawthorn. All right, so there's some great herbs and food in here, right? But basically, what it does is it helps to change their blood chemistry, and so that the bugs don't want to eat them. So you can actually eat a lot of these things like I do. I make sprouts with alfalfa. I eat plenty of garlic. I use spirulina in my smoothie. I sprinkle kelp on my food. I eat papaya. I do stinging nettle tea, right? You can make tea out of hawthorn. Neem's the only one out of these that doesn't really taste the best, but you can sprinkle it in with tea and whatnot. Neem is also an ingredient that is in my tick prevention tonic, okay? So yeah, so just a kind of little FYI, I give this to my dog to help change her blood chemistry. Well, guess what? It can change our blood chemistry too. So the bugs don't want to eat us, all right? So that includes the mosquitoes and flies and whatnot, right? So yeah. The other thing I do with my dog, because she can't stand my bug spray, she's a beagle, very strong nose, and it just really bothers her when I like spray her. So I found this company, it's called Only Natural Pet, okay? And they have this flea and tick squeeze-on applicator, okay? And I put this on the nape of her neck, up her back, all right? And I get this one particularly because it has geraniol in it. So it has geranium in it. And it also has a little bit of thyme oil and peppermint oil because the bugs don't like that either. All right. But because I know how much ticks can't stand geranium. So that's why I particularly like this company, Only Natural Pet, because theirs has geranium. There's others that just have peppermint or just some other things, but the geranium to me is really key. And I find that very effective. I put this on her about once a month during the height of the flea and tick season. Okay. So yeah, so, and it's, I know it's pretty scary. Like I've had some clients tell me like that they don't want to go outside during this time of year or in the woods, because they're really scared, even gardening, this and that. I mean, I've actually gotten them just gardening in the yard this year, which is super rare. It's never really happened. So they're really prevalent this year. I heard one reason is because it was a banner year for acorns and other plants where like I noticed that too. A lot of the trees were really putting off a lot of seeds. There's so many pine cones and so many acorns, things of that nature, right? So then that makes a boom in like the rodent population, right? So there's more mice, there's more squirrels, chipmunks, things of that nature, right? And so then that means there's more ticks because those are the animals, like deer too, that the ticks thrive on. And with climate change also being a factor, when we're having more milder winters, so it's not killing off as many of the insects, and the fluctuation in temperatures, the invasive species that are thriving, like barberry, Japanese knotweed, wild rose, right? Like all these species are actually, they can all, like the prickers and stuff are like a safe haven for the ticks, right? So it's a perfect environment for them. And so when we're walking in the woods and we get, caught up in the invasive prickers, then there could be ticks on them, right? So it's just, an endless cycle that we're dealing with, and we just kind of have to adapt to it. So like I said before, I wear the Permethrin line clothing. I always like to wear full head to toe gear with that, but even just making sure that I have long pants, okay, long sleeves, a hat, I wear closed toe shoes, I always wear boots, right, is super important. I even will sometimes put gaiters on that I mostly have used like for the winter and stuff like that. But even just, unless you have some big, water, boots and stuff that are really high, it's important to kind of tuck in your pants to your socks, right? But I don't really like doing that. It's like not really comfortable to hike that way. So I pulled the gaiters out, and that's more comfortable. And so that acts as a preventative barrier for those ticks crawling up your legs, okay? So I just think it's super important to do that this time of year. The other thing I will say is most people don't realize this, but usually the height of the tick season is in the spring and the fall, okay? So it's usually like March through May, okay? We're having a little bit of a colder spell right now, so it's gonna probably elongate their season. But as soon as it starts getting really hot and humid, the ticks start slowing down. They start getting more still, and they don't move around as much, and they're not as prevalent, right? And then they kind of come back again when the cooler temps arrive in the fall. And then in the winter, we don't see them as much because for that same reason. Well, it's just too cold and they're not as active, instead of being too hot and they're not as active. Okay, so it's keenly important to be aware of March through May usually, and then thinking like, September through November is what you want to look at as the height of the tick season. Okay. And so these are just some tips that I really wanted to share that could be really helpful. And there's a lot that we're dealing with these days, and we gotta kind of have do the best we can to protect ourselves and still enjoy the wonders of outside. I mean, it's so tricky too. The height of the tick season is always the best time to be outside in the woods, right? Spring and fall, it's when the weather's the nicest, right? So we just gotta, be prepared, do the best we can. Like I said, use your bug spray, use your tick prevention tonic if you got it, in whatever way, essential oils. Definitely recommend getting a cup like this. If you guys are have a hard time finding something like this, I can order them. So if any of you are interested, I can get these for you. Okay. Check out Stephen Harrod Buhner's book, Healing Lyme. Okay. Look into some permethrin lined clothing. The companies I use are Insect Shield, and also I've used this company called Crag Hoppers. They're from the UK. All right. And Only Natural Pet is a good company to get some essential oil products for the dogs. They also have collars too, which is a little bit easier than the the squeeze on bottle there. So, and check out this internal powder from this company, Earth Animal. Okay, that you can for all those dog lovers out there. All right. So I wanted to share another tool that can be very helpful in picking up the ticks if they have gotten on your clothes, and it is a lint roller. So what you do when you come in from walking in the woods or walking in the yard, you take the lint roller and rub it on all your clothes, and it will pick up the ticks. They will stick to it, and then you can properly dispose of them. Another thing I use is any type of tape. So masking tape, painter's tape is usually what we use, but any kind of tape will help, and you can stick the ticks to it and dispose of them properly. Okay. And I use this on my dog as well, so helps to find the ticks where they might be hiding in those sneaky little places. All right. So I always say to check yourself before you wreck yourself. So it's also helpful after you do the lint roller to also take your clothes off and check all the areas of your body to help prevent the ticks from biting you. So if you do have one that kind of snuck on, you can have that first line of defense before it even bites you. Okay. And I wanted to share that if you were interested in buying any of the products that I make that I was talking about, like my bug spray, my tick prevention tonic, you can go to my website, which is chiforhealing.com. That's CHIFORHEALING.com. And you can find me on social media at @chiforhealing. So I hope these tips were very helpful for you and to give you some peace of mind that you can safely go out in the woods and be in your yard and have the tools necessary to combat the ticks and do it in a holistic way.